Welcome back, everyone, to episode 96 of The Midnight Entrepreneur. Good to have you back here for another episode. Forgot to do this last episode, but if you guys like the show, leave us a like, a comment, a subscribe, a share, text us, email us, do one of the things above. We really appreciate the engagement, appreciate the support.
No. I'm like the most southern part of Canada.
All right, southern Canada, but on the east side, north of me.
East-ish. No,
Yeah,
I'm actually south of you.
I was thinking northeast. Are you really?
Yeah, I'm south of you.
Oh, shit. Well, geography is my worst subject. You knew that.
Now everyone knows.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone knows, and the cat's out of the bag, they say.
Don't want people knowing that you're not good at geography. It's a very important skill.
It's an American thing.
You don't really need geography. We got Google.
No, exactly. That's why I just look at maps. That's why they created maps for people like me to look at.
Exactly. You don't need maps, or you don't need to know where you're going. Just got Google.
Exactly. Tyler, we filmed.
Oh, you know what's crazy? This is side note. I know we're like still in the intro. When I was in Tucson, this old lady, I was on a run, and I was so confused because like I'm in like the running lane, bike lane, whatever you want to call it. It's like the shoulder. And she like pulls over, and I'm like, what the hell is she doing? And then she like sticks her hand out the window, starts waving at me, and like I'm running up towards her, and she's like parked in front of me. And then like I run up to her, she's like, do you know where this is? And I'm like, I'm not from here. And she's got it on a piece of paper. I'm like, I didn't know people still did that, but I guess when you're, I don't know, 70, 80 years old. So I like pulled it up on my phone to go on Google Maps. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's over there. And yeah, she had it on a piece of paper. I'm like, wow.
The elderly
still did that.
They are paper people.
It's crazy. Paper people. Thunder Mifflin.
Exactly. All right. We are filming this episode almost back to back as the last episode because when you guys listen to this, I'll be in Vegas. So not a ton of updates on my end. I literally don't have any updates besides I met with Tyler this morning. We had a good Ironman meeting and that I'm getting sick. That is horrible timing to get sick. My nose is running. I got a sore throat waking up this morning, so it's really super annoying. I'm gonna have to bootleg some prescription medicine and see if I can get over this. But that's kind of all the updates I got, Tyler. I figured I'd go first. I know I usually throw it to you, but I don't have a whole lot. Tyler, what do you got update since last episode?
Yeah, one of my updates was about the Ironman update where we just met this morning, went over our plan moving forward for Lake Placid when you come out here. I think we got a good plan in place. Got some. I think I'm pretty excited about it. But also you asked me last episode about my knee, or you just asked me how training was going, and I brought up my knee today, which is Tuesday, compared to Sunday. So like 2 days later, when this comes out, it's going to be like a week later. So hopefully my knee does improve. I went on a short run today to see exactly how it was because I have a long run tomorrow, and hopefully it goes well. I'm no way to update you, but it went well on my run today, but it was under 10 minutes. So I didn't feel anything on the 10-minute run today. I got an hour and 45 tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow.
So all you can hope for is hopefully it works, and then you get out there, and if it doesn't work, then I don't know what you do, Tyler. Probably just cut the leg off. Sweep the leg down.
Yeah, we're just going to have to take it slow, listen to my body. And that's what I kind of did this past week is take some time off running. So that's what I'm going to do. If it continues to hurt, I just want to be ready for Lake Placid. So that's the main focus right now is making sure to not just push through it because that's usually what I would do. I'm trying to play it smart here, listen to my body a little bit. So that's one thing that I got going on.
Yeah, and we had a pretty good meeting this morning. I know you mentioned it. That's one little skill we'll throw you guys is that if just make sure you go into every situation prepared. A lot of people go into whether it's a video shoot on my end or a meeting or a call or whatever it is, and they're unprepared. And I saw a quote the other day that says, "You're not nervous, you're just unprepared." And I thought that was a good descriptor of it's very true. I mean, if you take some time and you prepare for whatever it is you're about to do, you should be confident into what you're going into. So good little prep meeting this morning, getting the exact shot list down, where we need to be, when we need to be there, pretty much dialed down the schedule. So I'm pretty excited for it too.
And a few other things. They're more talking points. I'll go with the work one. When you used to have your retainer clients and it was like monthly stuff, did you used to send them ideas or how did you go about that?
As far as ideas that pertain to the contract, like
Yeah. Like your deliverables. Did you have something set out? It's like, okay, we're going to do this month, or did it just come up and it was like, okay, what do you want to do this month, and brainstorm session, or how'd that work for you?
most of the time I came up with the ideas and facilitated it, and we had that
Mm.
conversation at the very beginning, like, hey, here's what you were in charge of, here's what we're in charge of. So we're in charge of the ideation process, the production, the post-production, and then you're kind of in charge of approvals and making sure the content gets out there, so posting it. So as long as you're upfront in determining one or the other. I mean, if you say at the beginning, we're going to have a monthly meeting where we brainstorm, that's totally
Yeah.
fine. But
Gotcha.
as long, yeah, whatever you guys agree upon, I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just thought about bringing that up, asking you how you went about it, because this morning usually we have our weekly meetings and I'll bring it up on then, but he had to push his meeting because July 1st was Canada Day. That's when we usually meet, and he pushed it forward. So we ended up meeting in June again. And then we went over a bunch of other stuff and never got to the actual deliverables. So I just sent him a quick email asking him his opinion on some of the ideas that I had, and just kind of going over that way. So I didn't just work on stuff and be like, hey, I did this. I know you didn't get it up, or you didn't approve this or anything like that. So I decided to email him this morning, get his opinions on what he wanted to go with. So I was just seeing how you went and approached that situation when you had monthly retainers as well.
I'd say if it's in some sort of gray area where it's out of the norm of what you usually do, if you can take initiative as much as possible, it's probably going to be your best course of action. And it sounds like you did. It sounds like you went ahead and
Yeah.
put some stuff together and then sent it over. So I think it's probably the right thing to do. And then, of course, you can send it over. And if they say, hey, we don't like this, let's go a different route, you can sure do that. But at least it looks like you're trying to make progress on it.
And you don't just show up with stuff that they didn't approve or they don't like, and it's like, hey, I got this done. It's like, I didn't want that. And so yeah, that was basically the premise of it. Gave him a couple different ideas and let him choose, and we went from there. So that was just one thing I kind of wanted to discuss about. And the other thing, I've been seeing this, I feel like it's been going around for a while, because and it just randomly hit me on my For You page, is this protein bar company I wanted to bring up. I don't know how it just randomly got on my page, and now I'm getting hit with it all over the place. And it's a premium protein bar. They're at a premium price. Everyone in the comments destroys them. They're like, I'm not paying $5 for a protein bar. And it's like, I don't have, like, it's not worth it. Like, we get it that you have whole, real, natural ingredients, and that's kind of like his marketing. It's like, we have a premium product, we use premium ingredients, and everyone in the comments just destroys them. I was just thought I would bring that up and get your thoughts on that, being a premium product, premium service, whatever it is, charging a premium price, and see what you thought about that situation.
I believe I've seen something similar, not the protein bar company, but there's a company that competes with Liquid IV. Do you know what Liquid IV is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah, pretty much. A little pack that you put in your water, and there's a company that competes with them, and they are more expensive than Liquid IV. And all of the comments are always, this is crazy that it's, $3 more than Liquid IV, blah, 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 whatever it is. Whereas there will always be haters no matter what, but that is probably not the market you're selling to. So this protein bar company, $5 for a protein bar, the people commenting on it are probably college kids or kids that just, they don't have the funds to spend $5 on a protein bar. But I guarantee you, world-class athletes, if that protein bar is targeting NBA players, or if it's targeting Ironman runners, or whatever it is, those people don't care that it's $5, right? We even saw this morning when we were looking at the price of your wetsuit that you have for running the Ironman. I was like, good Lord. But to you, it's probably like, well, yeah, that's what you need to get the job done. Whereas if this protein bar, if that's what you need to get the job done, then I don't think there's any issue with it being a premium price. So I think it's all about how you market it and the audience that you're looking to sell it to.
Mm-hmm. It does seem like he's not trying to target he's doing a really, you hear it all the time where it's the founder-led branding with the whatever you want to call it. And he's really like up front and center, and he's a really young guy. So I feel like it's tough for him to hit that more wealthier audience, but that's what he always says in his videos. He's like, yeah, we're a premium product. We use premium ingredients. We charge a premium. This is why. And then there's a lot of like he sends them protein bars to people on TikTok to review, and the people that review them don't give very great reviews. So I don't know.
See, that might be a bigger issue.
Yeah, and because it's like dry and they don't like the taste or whatever. And there's also like RX bars, which I really like, and I think they're probably like a fraction of the cost of what these bars are. And it's basically like very similar ingredients that they use. They might use a little bit different, but I also think that RX bars are actually like really tasty. I've seen comments that they absolutely hate it, but it's all personal preference. Like I could try the protein bars and I could probably like them, but like a bunch of other people will be like, these are absolute trash.
Yeah, it's all personal preference, and it's, I think about Balenciaga, right? Balenciaga has some whack ass clothes, but it doesn't appeal to me. I could be like, I would never pay $900 for a pair of shoes. Well, Kim Kardashian might, and they might look like shit to me, but she might wear them with a special thing, and then it looks good. So it is all about the person. I don't think there's a one size fits all. But yeah, I mean, he might have an issue if it tastes like shit, and that's all the reviews they're getting. You have to have somebody that likes it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like from the videos that I've seen, so it's like so many people are commenting just saying like $5 for a bar. That's insane. And then they'll have like 400 comments and like 100 likes. It's so weird. You don't see that stuff.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking up RX bars. It looks like they're about $2.25-ish per bar. So I mean, cut it in half pretty much, and I think it tastes better. They're also like a massive company.
Yeah. So, and you probably, when he gets to the scale, I mean, he could probably lower the cost too. That's another big thing.
One of the videos said that
not that he would,
one of the videos said that the influencers, I think, they earn, whenever they sell some of the bars, they earn a commission, and the commission's like $11, which is apparently a lot, because like the guy's like, I have these two supplements like creatine and protein or whatever. He's like, I get $1 to $3, so I don't know how $11 per bar makes sense unless it's like a box.
I'd say it's got to be a box. There's no way it's
they're making like $11. Yeah, so it's like lower the commission or something like that.
Yeah, I'd say a box, like maybe you get 12 bars, and if it's $50, maybe you get a discount for buying a whole box. But yeah, I mean, it would be steep, especially for the average person like me. I don't need a protein bar. I'm probably not going to spend $5 on one, but if there is a certain need for it, I get it.
Yeah, it looks like 45 pack. Jeez, $225. That's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, 27 pack, $135. 9 pack, $45.
Yeah.
That's wild.
If he can make it work, then awesome. But he is generating some buzz. I mean, I'm sure he's replying to those comments to spark interest. Makes people want to try him. I want to try one, kind of.
I want to try them too. I just want to try them to see how they taste.
Yeah.
Because like from the reviews, it's like not good, but I just want to try them.
Maybe we'll have to order a couple, and then we go from there. Try one on the pod.
Yeah, we should. We should get it, and then you can bring it down for the Ironman, and then we'll try them out.
I like that. Cool. All right, Tyler, anything else update-wise? Otherwise, let's get into this week's topic.
No, let's get right in there.
Cool. So I think we mentioned this actually last week on last week's episode, skill stacking. And we figured, you know what, let's just dive right into the topic that we floated last episode. So skill stacking. We've also kind of doubled this with how to make more money through skill stacking. So that's going to be close to this episode's title. So what do we mean, Tyler, when we're talking skill stacking? What do we mean by that?
Basically, when you're stacking complementary skills on top of each other that work one in like, I don't know, they work cohesively to make you more valuable to either your company, your business, whatever it is, and it just makes you better at everything that you do. So that's pretty much what we mean by it, is just stack a bunch of skills that are complementary to each other to make you more valuable to the marketplace.
And the first example that just popped in my head, which is really weird, is have you seen those garage floors that have like the speckled stuff in it?
Yeah, I think so.
So imagine a concrete worker. If they do concrete, they also know how to do that. That's perfect.
I feel like they would know how to do that. Isn't that I think
There's
that's like
specific
epoxy.
companies for laying that flooring down.
Yeah. I think it's called epoxy or something like that.
Yep. I have 2 boxes of it to put in my garage, and I've had them for 2 years, and I just haven't done it yet. But yeah, I mean, that's just a blatant example of the skill stacking. But there are, I mean, a million different skill stacking examples.
Right.
I don't
It's
know
weird
why
that you just thought of that one.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, that's so random.
Well,
Because like I feel
immediately-
like those types of companies would know that. Or maybe not cement, but
Yeah.
I feel like they do specialize it. Like you said, it's like epoxy companies and cement type of companies or driveways, whatever it is, where it's like specialized. So
Well, I was thinking, I was like, I'm going to give a quick example here. And then I thought plumber. And then I was like, nah. And then I immediately, after plumber, just thought of like concrete worker for some reason. So it works. It works.
There you go.
And if it's
you
if
go.
it's that easy for me to come up with a complementary skill for a concrete worker, it should be easy enough for you to come up with a complementary skill for your own business. So first of all, before we actually get into that, we'll talk about some examples for Tyler and myself. But when you do this, when you do add these complementary skills, your new low point increases. And that's what we have in our notes there, Tyler. Explain that, what we mean by that low point.
so basically your standards, I guess you could say, where
Bare minimum, maybe
say-
you could say, of what
yeah,
you do.
your bare minimum. Yeah, your bare minimum, say, income. So say you don't have any skills, your bare minimum is going to be really low because you don't have any skills. The only job you can maybe get is like cashier or something like really low level, maybe a dishwasher, cook, something like that. Not saying those are low level, but those are just something that doesn't take a lot of skills that you need to say, like, you can't just go out and be like, I want to be the CEO of McDonald's or whatever it is. So with this type of things where it's like your bare minimum is maybe like $20,000-$30,000 a year.
Let's flip
And
it.
then
Let's
once
flip it
you-
into a business example. Let's use lawn mowing. If you only know
Okay.
how to mow lawns,
Okay.
so that would be your bare minimum. Let's say you're making $100 a lawn, right?
Yeah.
Now I'll throw it back to you.
Well, I don't know. You seem to. Maybe we should do flowers, or what? What do you like to do? Gardening.
Well,
we
you
should
could
do
add
gardening.
it in there. Landscaping.
There you go. Yeah. Once you learn how to maybe trim trees, and then you can add that on, or maybe once you, I don't know, because with this type of stuff, maybe you would be able to horizontally integrate other businesses into it. So I feel like you're trying to go like the power washing route or house painting or that type of route, where I'm trying to think of what other types of skills would you be able to stack onto that landscaping
whacking.
one. So it's like, yeah, so it's not just, then you're able to provide a better service. So then it just becomes like, I can only cut the grass. It's like I got a lawnmower and that's it. So it's like you're gonna get the very basic, and then once you learn how to weed whack, then you're also able to do that. Maybe you also know how to trim trees, and then you also know how to trim hedges and like make landscaping like design and effects, and it makes you a little bit more valuable. So you can like, and then maybe you like just build out the whole thing, and then maybe it stacks into a landscaping business or something like that, like where you're actually like putting gardening or mulch or creating different stuff around the house or around the actual front yard. So I don't know, where do you think you'd be able to stack that?
Yeah, I think you nailed or hammered the nail on the head, or whatever that saying is. But going back to the low point, I think people should really think about what their low point is. What is that job? What is your lawn mowing that makes you $100? So if your low point is then $100, how do you get that low point up? So if you can add weed whacking for $20 a yard, boom, now your new low point is $120. You can sell weed whacking, lawn mowing for $120. If you can then add hedge trimming for another $80, boom, now your low point is $200. So that's really the benefit of this skill stacking, is that the more skills you have that are complementary to your thing, the higher your low point's going to get. So I think that's kind of the overarching view of it, is that's how we're actually making money through this quote unquote skill stacking that we want to call it. So I think you said it perfectly, Tyler. The more you can add to it, and it adds more and more layers. It's like an onion, whereas you might start with the lawn, you're doing mowing, you're doing weed whacking, hedge trimming. Okay, now you're doing landscaping. You're putting in rocks. Okay, now maybe your landscaping evolves a little bit, where you're doing water features, where you have a fountain. Now you're doing retaining walls. Now you're doing whole driveways. Now you're building houses. Obviously, that's getting further and further from lawn mowing.
Now you're owning real estate. Now you're building skyscrapers.
Exactly. So that's obviously that hockey stick graph that we see. But the more you start stacking those skills, your baseline is going to increase, because you're providing more value to the customer or client or whoever you're helping.
Yeah, so pretty much just trying to be as valuable as you can to the marketplace. So increasing your value that you're able to provide there. And I know you got on the notes, you become a Swiss Army knife. I had a question a little bit later on, maybe right after it. Do you think this becomes jack of all trades, master of none type of scenario? Do you think that's beneficial? Do you not think it's beneficial?
So a lot of people do mention that the jack of all trades, master of none, not a good route to go. And there is one thing I had in my notes, which is actually perfect to go into this, Tyler, is that if you start niche, start with your lawn mowing and then widen out from there. I think that's personally the best route. Make sure you're mastering each skill as you stack it instead of just starting, hey, I got 20 skills, but I'm not good at any of them. I think that's where the jack of all trades, master of none comes into play. But if you're stacking skills like we're talking about, where, okay, I've mastered lawn mowing. Okay, now I've mastered weed whacking. Now you're a jack of all trades, master of all of them, right? And that's where you want to get to, where every skill that you add, you're now a master of that. And of course, you probably can't be a master of everything, but if you become deadly in all those areas, it's going to be much better than, oh, I got 20 skills. I kind of know how to do a little bit of them.
Yeah, you can never be a master. You're always learning, always learning. But
Yeah.
I do like that where it does become beneficial. And I think that's where I've struggled a little bit is I've been all over the place and I've done so many different things. And I don't think I've really honed in and niched down and started with one and tried to become the master in it. Where I would say maybe I'm like average to maybe above average in some of them. But I do so many different things where it's like, I don't know if I'm great here or if I'm good there. But it's like, sure, I'll do it, but like, I'm not the best, or like, you're not going to get top quality just because it's not something that I specialize in. It's not something that I do every single day. Whereas there's other people that do it every single day. I would say they're a lot better than I am. But I think that's a little bit where I do struggle with, or I have struggled with in the past.
Do you think people actively think like, okay, here's my one skill that I'm going to start to stack on? Or do you think they find themselves in the trap where, oh, I'm offering too many services, I got to dial this back, where it's almost like a thing that people have to learn by messing it up originally? Because I know that's what I did. I was like, oh, I do photo, I do video, I do websites, I do all of this. And then once I got into business, I was like, okay, I need to focus on one thing, right? Do you
I
think
think it
people
could go both ways.
Yeah.
Because some people might do one thing and then they might not get as much business as they want, so they start branching out, and it's like, okay, I also do this, I also do that, I also do this, and then they're trying to get more business because what they're currently doing or offering isn't cutting it and isn't paying the bills. So they're like, okay, I got to try and make more money. So how do I make more money? I got to offer more services. They don't really think I'm gonna get better at what I do, become a master, charge more, and maybe there's just not a demand for it. So I think it could go both ways, where you do start out too broad or you start out too narrow, or you didn't choose one that had a very big demand for it, or you just aren't, maybe you're not good at sales. Maybe you're not good at outreach. So there's so many different variables that could go into it as well.
What are your thoughts on the advice that a lot of people get in the business community that, oh, you need to niche down. You need to be very niche. Focus on one thing, one customer.
I'm hearing it a lot more, especially from like Alex Hormozy. It's like you got to start with like one thing, and like that's what you got to do. So I don't know. I think I was honestly thinking about it on the bike ride today because like the company I work for, it's niched down. We work with home builders and remodelers. That's it. So I've always thought about it. It's like I don't want to stick to one industry because then it gets boring. But then it's just like you become a master in that one thing. And I feel like home building and remodeling is not a bad one, because for me, I would be able to skill stack on top of that once maybe I got into real estate, or maybe I got into sales. Like I know the industry a little bit, so that helps me skill stack a little bit with that industry. I have industry knowledge there, whereas other people might not know subway tile backsplash or something like that, or something like that seems basic, and some people just might not know it. So
but do you think
it's
niching down on the industry or niching down on your specific skill? Because I think there's two routes. Like you said, home building, are you niching down on, I agree with you how it would get boring picking one industry, but like, okay, we do home builders. Or should you be focusing on, I'm niching down, but I'm just really good at Google ads, right? What are your thoughts
It
there?
depends. It depends. If you're by yourself, this is going to be hypocritical to myself. You probably should just be niched down to say just Google Ads. I think if you're able to build out a company to have those people that are specialists in each and every specific area, say like blogging, social media, Google Ads, Facebook ads, then you're able to do it. But it's like going back to maybe if you have like 50 years of experience, you obviously wouldn't with like Facebook and Google ads because they haven't been around that long. And especially, I don't even think the internet's really been around that long. But I think just having that skill to be like that jack of all trades, master of none type of thing. So I do believe that I see it a lot where there's a lot of people that are only Google ads and then they serve every industry. And then like what we're doing at Builder Funnel is we only serve one industry and we only do one specific thing, but we try and hire masters in the role. So it's like we have a master Google ad person. I think maybe eventually we'll get to a master social media, paid social media, whatever you want to call it. And then we also have the marketing strategists, marketing specialists, the writers. So it's like we're narrowed down in that regards and we hired for that. But like maybe it's like a business of one. I think you probably do want to just niche down like that one business that you mentioned. The one guy with the 48-hour turnaround design services, he only has that one offering because that's all he does. So I think it is beneficial to just be niched down into that one specific thing.
Do you think you should pick either niche down in the one thing you do or niche down in the one industry you service? I think if you niche down in the one thing you do, let's use the graphic design guy, for example. His whole thing is he does graphic design. He'll serve any industry through his format, that one thing at a time, one queue at a time. Once that's done, you can throw another thing in there. Whereas, I don't know if this is your guys' company or not, but if we use home builders, for example, you focus on one industry, home builders, but maybe you offer them a suite of 10 different services where you're doing websites, you're doing Google ads, you're doing Facebook ads, you're doing content, whereas you're not niche down in your services, but you're niche down in the industry. Do you think you could be successful just picking one or the other and niching down in that?
I think
Or
it
do you
comes
think you
back
need
to how
both?
big your company is.
Yeah.
If it's just one person, I think you got to be niched. And it's hypocritical that I say that.
Well, I
So
think you can
it's
be a yes man in the beginning a little bit though, but mainly just for testing and learning of what you want to do and what you like to do.
yeah, I guess so. I think it just comes back to because like with a graphic designer, you're not gonna want to do, hey, I'm a graphic designer and I only serve dentists. Like I feel like a
Suck.
graphic designer can do exactly. I feel like a graphic designer could do any design. It's like it's just maybe they're just creating a logo. I don't know exactly what he does, but like if you're only creating logos, I don't think you need to niche down to a specific industry and be like, yeah, I only serve home builders. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, you're really going to stand out to home builders. Home builders are going to be like, yeah, this is the go-to guy. He does only home builders, so he knows the industry. But like, it's a graphic designer. You don't really need it. I also think it might depend on your service because it's like that type of service. Maybe like videography, it might be decent. I know in your course that you took, the VBA, they say you got to pick a specific industry. I think that would be good for you because then you gain industry knowledge there. But then at the same, and then you could basically serve any, say, chiropractor in all of the nation. It's like we're the number one videographer for chiropractors.
I feel like I'd hate
So-
that though.
You'd be the best.
Yeah. It's a give and take. You really have to think internally. Like, is it worth it if do you want to really be the best at chiropractors? Like me personally, I would get so bored of chiropractic work, I'd probably want to stop doing video eventually, right? One of my favorite parts of video is getting to shoot different things, right? Like, oh, this week we're telling
Yeah.
the story about this guy that almost lost his life. Next week we're telling a story about a sports guy that signed onto this team. The week after that, we're doing a hype video for a hockey team, whatever that looks like. Whereas maybe
Ironman video.
exactly. Whereas maybe the niche is more focusing on video and then service any industry. But now I'm kind of branching away from that a little bit where we kind of offer more stuff. And I do think it starts to depend on the size of the company. The bigger the company gets,
Right.
the more you can offer
Right.
and the more you can offer to more people. If we use Apple,
Right.
for example, Apple started with the Macintosh, right? They started with one computer. Okay. The bigger the company got, they then introduced new things: the iPod, the iPhone, MacBooks, Mac Studios. It just started to blossom. So I do think in the beginning it's good to have, one thing you do, pick that one thing. And then as the company gets bigger and as you start to stack more skills, then you can start to offer that suite of services to a wider audience.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good direction to be heading in if you're just starting out.
So, Tyler, let's pivot a little bit now to some examples for us. Give us some examples of your personal skill stacking, whether you realized you were doing it or whether you didn't realize you were doing it. What does your hierarchy kind of look like?
So the saying from Steve Jobs, you can't connect the dots looking forward, but you can connect them looking backwards. And when I first started out, I definitely didn't really see where I was going to be going, and I don't think I saw where I was going to be here. I think my original plan when I got to college was going to be a international business lawyer, and that pivoted real quick. So it's like, I don't like school, so we're not doing school.
No.
So I started out with photography and videography. I bought a camera. And I feel like that stemmed back way when I was younger. I used to make little trampoline videos in the backyard with me and my buddies. So I think that's been kind of like in the back of my head where I've always been. So I started out with photography and videography, and then I eventually got a drone. So I got good at that. I wouldn't say good, but like I was able to operate it, and I knew what I was doing. Yeah, exactly. And then I always saw like FPV drones and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I really want to get into that. So that could have been a route that I went, but I didn't end up going that way. And then I eventually branched into digital marketing when I did the photography and videography, because I was like, well, it makes sense to pair those two, because it's like, if I'm going to be doing photography and videography, you need to be able to market that stuff. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go into that. So that's what I ended up taking in school. And then I eventually got a job in digital marketing. And then I learned a lot more different areas with digital marketing. And then I started learning more about UX, UI, which is like user experience, user design with websites. And then this could be like kind of with everything, just maybe even social media. I don't know. I'm still less than surface level there, but starting to learn that a little bit. And I've also been thinking about maybe I should start learning sales, because I've heard like really good things about sales, and like that's like, if you can't sell, you can't really do anything. So I feel like that's a really good skill. And especially like I was saying earlier, like getting into real estate, if I knew how to sell, I think getting into real estate would be beneficial. And there's just so much money in real estate as well. So being in the home building and remodeling industry, I kind of have like a somewhat base level knowledge there. So I feel like that's some of the paths that I went throughout my maybe past 5-ish years, maybe more.
I like how you mentioned that Steve Jobs quote about how you can't connect the dots looking forward, but you can backwards, because a lot of times it is true. I'm sure a lot of times in that decision-making process, well, one, there probably wasn't even a decision-making process for you. You weren't like, oh, I need to learn digital marketing now, or, oh, now I need to learn more areas of digital marketing. It's probably just started to happen naturally. Would you say that's true?
I would think so. You just kind of like learn what you like. And then I like photography and videography, and then I was like, what would be good with this? Marketing, because photography's everywhere. It's like, it's on billboards, and that's how you got to sell it. You got to market yourself well. So I feel like you just start picking stuff up, and then it's like, what would be good to go with this? And then that's just kind of how I've approached it, I guess. Moving forward is kind of how it's gone.
I think it's beneficial to be a lifelong learner. If you're a lifelong learner and you're curious about things, you'll never have to make a physical decision like, okay, now I need to learn video. You'll just naturally draw to it because you got into photo and you're like, oh, I'm curious about video. Let's learn about video. And then that skill stacking just starts to tumble. And then once you start learning about video, you're like, oh, I think, well, to make these videos better, drones would be sweet. Now you know a bunch about drones, right? So maybe training yourself to be a learner and to be a curious person is more beneficial than actively trying to think, I need to stack another skill. What skill can I stack?
And just aimlessly stacking them at the same time. It's like, I'm just going to do this one because that's what this guy does. Or I'm going to do this one because this guy makes that much money, and it's got to be the direction that I got to go. So
I
I know
think it
it's
is
tough.
important that they're complementary too, because the more you mention
Yeah.
that, if I'm doing video right now, and we're focusing on video and photo here and there, if tomorrow I was like, man, it'd be really sweet if I knew how to drop ship too. It's like, okay, that doesn't really correlate, right? You're not going to drop ship things to your clients. You're not going to teach your clients how to drop ship. Like, yeah, it's a good skill to have, but it's not really correlating to what you're actually doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have any of your directions that you started out with?
Yeah, and mine is fairly similar to you, Tyler, whereas I can't, looking forward when I was doing all this, it wasn't like, okay, this is the next area I have to go. This is my next step. But looking back on it, you can kind of see, okay, I understand how this path came about. I started with video too. I started filming videos. I wanted to make a YouTube channel, and I took my parents' camera, which led to starting a video production company, which led to people asking me about photos and taking photos. So naturally, I started to learn the photography side of things, picked up those skills, which blossomed into learning how to edit photos, which is a whole nother thing in and of itself. So that takes its own branch. Going back to the video stuff, when I was filming and editing videos, I realized, okay, there's a lot of graphics in videos that I'm seeing, so I probably need to learn that, which then allowed me to stack that skill of graphic design. Not saying I'm a master graphic designer. I couldn't go work in a graphic design firm, but I can handle Photoshop, I can handle Illustrator, whatever software it is to put some graphics together. So that skill is going to make our videos more valuable. I then had to learn some script writing, had to learn writing in general, the human psychology of having hooks, having calls to action, having different ways to format, how to provide value through script writing. So that's another skill I had to learn solely because I needed to write scripts for videos. So again, not something I thought about, not like, okay, the next one is script writing. No, I just started doing it, and then it's like, oh, I'm learning this skill. After script writing, going and trying to build the business more and more, you have to learn some business software. So learning how to track things in Excel. I think I've pretty sufficient in Excel and Word. I know a lot of
It's
people
funny, you always people always say that, and then it's like you put it on your resume, proficient in Excel, and then you see someone that actually is good at Excel, and it's like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah. And I'm not, trust me, I can figure out the formulas and I can move stuff around and do that. But when people are doing all shortcuts, no mouse, I'm not that good. But my skill stacking is to a level where I can at least use that as a skill to grow the business.
Competent.
And to have a successful business. So that's another skill I ran into. Sales became a skill that I've started to, one, learn myself and seek out some mentors to teach me that, as I ran into some problems where it's like, okay, I need to sell videos or the business isn't going to work. So that's a roadblock you run into where you just think, okay, I have to sell. Like it's sell or don't have a business. So again, I wasn't actively like, I should learn sales. No, it's do or die. So again, there's a couple more that goes into, social media platforms. You learn that you have to market your services. So you start to learn social media platforms. Podcasting, I wanted to, again, that came from the marketing. So then I figured out podcasting where I knew nothing about it. And now I could start a podcast for anybody. So yeah, it really just comes about as, what is the natural progression of things that just come to you, and you just start learning them and you realize, oh, this is another skill that I have that I can provide value to people with.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's any specific one that stands out above the rest, or do you think it's just kind of, maybe it's like the first one that caused the domino to keep falling?
Well, photography stands out as a skill that I learned and then do not want to use anymore. So that's maybe a situation where you run into where, oh, this would be a great skill to stack here. And then you start doing it and it's like, I don't really want to go down this path. So it's a good skill to have in your back pocket if you need it here and there, but not every skill that you have is going to be beneficial towards your business. And you don't really know that until you learn it and you start implementing it either. So I'd say that's kind of the glaring one. But as far as a skill that maybe grows the business a little bit more, I'd say there's a couple. I mean, sales is a big one. Not saying I'm a sales professional, but knowing how to facilitate conversations, knowing the human psychology around certain things here and there on why people make decisions, I think that's helped a ton. And then I think the actual video graphics, which seems small, but graphics, learning Photoshop, I'm starting to learn. Nobody knows how to use Photoshop. It's crazy, unless they're in the graphic design.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're in an anomaly,
AI now.
Tyler.
You think so?
Well, do you know how to use Photoshop pretty well?
I mean, I know how to use it.
Yeah. But like if I was like,
don't know
hey,
if I want to
create
say
a
I'm
graphic.
proficient.
Well, like if I said, create a podcast graphic where me and you are standing there and there's some words and opacity
Yeah.
and all that fun stuff, you could do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like that's a skill. Like even when I'm learning, it's so easy to, if I'm like, oh, I need a thumbnail, quickly pop it in, create a thumbnail. Whereas other people will be like, I don't know how to create a thumbnail. I need a template or plug and play or whatever that looks like, right? Not saying templates are bad. I use them all the time, but just having that skill
That's
has
all
been,
I'm using.
yeah, Photoshop is a skill that didn't realize that I would use as much as I do.
I think this goes back to last week's episode where we were somewhat talking about it, is working backwards. So say you want a specific role in a company. Say like last week we were talking about being a CFO, or it started out as an accountant, kind of work backwards from there. So say you want to be a CFO one day, it's like, okay, what skills do I need? Okay, I need mergers and acquisitions. I need accounting background. I need financial background. I need these specific things. So it's like, let's break it down as basic as possible. Where do I need to start out? And then now you have that guide to go forward to get to that CFO position. So it's like, if you have somewhere where you do want to go maybe start there and then kind of work backwards from there and figure out what skills that would be good to be stacked to be able to get you to that position.
A lot of keys to success lie in reverse engineering things. I think if people took more time to actually sit down and think about the end goal and then just break it down to the point you're at, I think it would be much easier for people to actually see that path and the steps they need to take and the skills they need to acquire on how to be successful. Because a lot of times people are like, I don't know how to be successful. And I think the blueprint is actually there. We just don't see it.
Well, I believe the reason why it does work is it goes back to the quote of, if you have a map and you don't know where you're going and you don't know where you're at, you're going to hit nothing, or you're not going to hit it. So it's like when you start and reverse engineer it, you at least have that point of reference where you want to go. So then it's like, okay, this is where I want to go. How do I get there? And then you kind of work backwards, and then you find yourself on the map. So now all of a sudden you know where you're at, you know where you're wanting to go. So it gives you at least a destination to actually get there. So it helps like visualize, or at least, I don't know, kind of give you steps to take along the way. So I think that's why it does help out.
Instead of playing pin the tail on the donkey when you're blindfolded, it's going to be a lot harder.
Exactly.
It's going to be a lot harder.
You spin around 300 times.
Exactly. So Tyler,
get put in the wrong room.
let's give the people some advice here to kind of wrap this up. How do you think people can start to implement the skill stacking behavior?
So if you've already stacked a bunch of skills and you already have a bunch, you can go out and start a business and use all those skills that you stacked up. Or if you don't really have any. Yeah. Or if you don't have any and you just have maybe one skill, just start out with that one and slowly build up the rest. Bless you. And slowly build up the rest and go from there. So I think that's one way that you can do it, is just start a business. It's really not that hard to start a business. Once you start your first business, it'll be easy from there. But watch a couple of YouTube videos, do a couple of Google searches, you'll be able to set up a business, no problem. And I think that's one of the ways that you can do it.
And I think leveraging your skill, even if it's one, is super important. So if we go back to, let's go back to the lawn mowing example. If I got a lawn mowing company and all we do is mow and we don't weed whack, if you ever a person that has the weed whacking skill, you're really good at it, leverage that into an opportunity. So if you can get into a company and you're like, hey, I can really provide a lot of value to your company, I can weed whack for you guys, you're not offering that right now, that's perfect. If you're a video editor and that's all you know how to do, you don't know how to film videos, you don't know how to write scripts, that's fine. Leverage your video editing skill to then get your opportunity to then build into the other skills, which would be, the filming or the script writing or the lawn mowing or the hedge trimming, whatever that is. So even if you have one skill, that's not a bad thing. Just make sure you leverage that into the opportunity to get to the next place that you want to go.
Yeah, you could be on that landscaping company and maybe you know sales or maybe you know marketing. And it's like, hey, I think we could improve our marketing here. And then that's a way that you're adding more value to the current marketplace, the current business that you're working for. It's like, okay, this is what I think you should do. This is what I think we can implement. We could do some social media posts. We could post on Instagram. We could post on TikTok. We could do some signage. We could go and do some flyers. I think there's a lot of areas for improvement in our marketing. So that's another skill that you could stack on there.
Yeah. 100% agree. Same thing goes if you're looking to get hired too. You know, it's all about getting your foot in the door. If you can get your foot in the door, you can then make some strategic moves. If you want to chime in your ideas here and there, you have the flexibility to do that. So
Go out and get a new higher job, paying job.
there you go.
Stack some skills.
Yeah,
Be an
well,
entrepreneur.
yeah, and even if you're like, hey, going back to the CFO reference, if you're like, I really want to be a chief financial officer one day. Maybe you get in and as an accountant, you're a really good accountant, and that's your foot in the door. And then you start to learn as you're working as an accountant, you start to learn those other skills, mergers and acquisitions, the financial department, equity stuff, whatever you need to learn. You can start to stack those skills, and then boom, next thing you know, you're on your way to being a CFO.
Yeah. And sometimes, like with companies, they might be bigger or smaller. I think it's probably easier if you want to be an entrepreneur for smaller companies, just because like they're more willing to grow. You're probably more willing to get access to the CEO, and they're more willing to be receptive. Whereas like if you're at a company that has maybe multiple thousands of people there, it's a little bit tougher to be an entrepreneur there and try and help that company grow.
Exactly. So just get your foot in the door. Even if you only got one skill, if you got a bunch of skills, you got a leg up. Just make sure you're leveraging the skills that you do have. Tyler, anything else before we get into this week's business idea?
I believe that's just about everything. Let's hear this idea that you got.
Passenger parrot. I was thinking about it. So basically, I was in Rugby last week, about an hour away, and we're going to a bunch of locations, right? So we're film here for 15 minutes. We go to the next place, film for a half hour, go to the next place, film for 15 minutes, and we're just getting cover of all these places filming. And I don't want to build out my camera, then when we leave, put it all back in the case, and then we get to the next location, build it all out. And so my solution right now is to just set it in the passenger seat. And I don't really seat belt it in or anything, but sometimes if you're driving fast, you hit a bump, like it's a little... You know, you got a $10,000 thing sitting on your passenger seat. You want a little bit more protection on there. So I think if there was some sort of contraption that you could set in your passenger seat, I think you could hook it to your chute or your plate on the bottom of your camera, and then it had some sort of just like a foam suspension system, because you don't want it to be locked off, because then if you do hit a bump, it'll snap or it'll mess with whatever. But lock it into some little foam little bowl looking thing. And then that maybe connects to your seat with some straps, and then you set it in there and you're good. Because there have been multiple times where I've been driving and my camera's in the passenger seat and somebody pulls out in front of me, or I have to brake really hard, and that thing just goes flying into the foot area of my van or my truck or whatever I'm driving. So I would buy this if it was under $100 tomorrow.
So is this just your camera, or you have it on your gimbal? I know you bought your
just my
little
camera,
gimbal
just
thing,
handheld, just the big
camera.
rig. Because right now I set it there and then I just kind of lean it against the crack with the handle, but it's like can't brake too hard. I got to be very cautious. Or if I knew that thing was secure, I could set it inside of this foam container looking thing that didn't cost a ton of money. I don't want someone to be like, just get a Pelican case and set it in there. No, I don't want to do that. I want just a little thing I could set it on. It's not big. It's not cumbersome. It's very, like, if I break it or if I rip the foam or whatever, I could just buy a new one and don't think about it. That's what I'm looking for.
Just like one of those baby carriage or baby seats,
Pretty much, yeah.
but for your camera.
Yeah, baby seat for the camera. I like that. And maybe I should just buy a giant piece of foam and then carve out the rig. But
Yeah.
I think that changes. It changes depending on if you have a different camera on there. Now it doesn't fit. Now I got to readjust things. But I think if it's just like plate mounted, everything's universal, where it's, well, this plate, it goes on my tripod. So if I just put this into my passenger parrot, boom, now it sits there and we're good to go.
You ever see that one thing where it's like, I feel like they're nails, and you like put your hand in it and you can like pull it out, and then it like leaves the imprint. You know what I'm talking about?
Like the needle things?
Yeah, where you can like can like push it. So like that's what it would be. So it'd be like a rectangular thing, and then it's just like a bunch of like needle things, but like they're not sharp or anything. And you could just put it there, and then they just like push through, and then it's like it's molded exactly to the camera or whatever thing you put in there.
I do like
Like
that
maybe
idea.
you even just put your water bottle in there, and it just like sits in there, and you can just push it down, and now you got your custom made.
It's like a universal holder. It doesn't even have to be for cameras.
Exactly. It could be for
like
anything.
I like that. I think we're onto something here. Passenger
I like
parrot's
it.
a great universal name too. That doesn't tie to cameras.
And then you could just wrap your seatbelt around, and then it doesn't move.
I like that. All right. Well, Tyler, I'm glad we brainstormed that because I think you made it even better. That would be a good idea.
There we go.
And it's kind of, you put whatever in there. I could maybe put my water bottle in one corner, my camera there, and
Yeah.
then something else there.
You got a whole little bed there for you to put shit in.
Yeah, I like that. All right. Someone build that for us, and we'll buy one.
Easton will buy for $100.
Well, yeah, 99 I will. Tyler, anything
It's not
else?
100 if it's $99.99.
Yeah, that too. I'd buy that $99.99. Tyler, anything else before we wrap this one up?
No, it's everything.
Awesome. A little bit of a shorter episode today, I think, but that is okay. I am sick, and we had no updates. We had a little bit of updates, actually, but hopefully you guys found some value out of this. Skill stacking, make sure you're looking at those skills. Try to stack them up, you know? Get those skills. Get a better job. Whatever you want to do, just do better. And again, reverse engineer that where you want to go, and that'll kind of lead you to what skills you're looking for. I'm Easton. That is Tyler. Thank you again for listening. Thank you guys again for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, share it, email it, text it, do whatever you want to. Thank you guys again, and we will talk to you guys next week.
The future belongs to those who learn more skills and combine them in creative ways. Robert Greene.